Welcome back to the brewery for the second beer, AleBeerta Dubber. So we're doing the Belgian-inspired Alberta beer. Water's heating up. Gonna get the candy sugar for our recipe into the kettle before we even mash. That way, when we start transferring the mash in, it'll start dissolving, and we can get most of this dissolved before we even turn the heat on. Oh man, coolest stuff ever. I'll show you what's going on in the kettle, and we'll see you when we start to mash in. We're not going to cover in detail a lot of the steps that we did in the first episode, but we'll do a little bit more talking about the inspiration and about you know, the tracking that we're doing for measurements and how those will relate to the finished product. So we'll be back with you in a minute.
So there,
I like it.
There,
a little higher up if you can.
Well, fragrance you want.
So while we're setting up the camera to mash in, here's the plan. We're going to get 8 gallons of our mash water in here at strike temperature. We're going to mash the grain in. We'll stir it up. We'll dough in. We'll give it an hour for mash time. This is the grist. 7.5 kilograms of our base malt. 2.5 kilograms of our Rocky Mountain malt from Red Shed, and 750 grams of amber to finish off. Like I said, we've got our candy sugar ready to go. So this grist will mash for an hour, and we'll get the boil on. And if anything interesting happens along the way, we'll let you know. But mashing in 169 degrees, we're going to mash for an hour at 152. Water pH is 7.3 in the boil right now, or boiling in the hot liquor tank. I'm going to try and balance it down to 5.2. I've got lactic acid ready to bring that pH down to 5.2 if we need to. But we'll check the pH at the beginning of the mash once we've got all the water in, and then we'll check it again at 30 minutes to see where it sits. If we need to, we'll add a little bit of lactic acid to bring it down at that point. And then in terms of our mash water, or our sparge water rather, we may treat the sparge water with a little bit of lactic acid as well, but I suspect we'll just let it rip and go for the sparge until we get to our 12.5 gallon volume and get the boil on. So we will see you at mash time. Alright, so we're almost at 169 degrees, that's our strike temperature. Yeah, we're like a half degree out, give or take. So we're going to start filling this sucker up, and yeah, guess we'll see what happens. And that's, I mean, yep, mother father, it's hot. We're there. Mash on. Let's fill this thing up. Alright, burner's off. No more heat. Let's fill this sucker with hot water. We're going to throw 8 gallons in here, is the plan. And here she comes. Boom. Alright, now we're up to 4. I've got a little tiny air pocket in the impeller that I can hear. I'm up to 6. Remember, when you're using pumps, you always hit the valves on the output, not the input. If you do them on the input, the impeller is trying to suck where there's nothing to pull from. Better to have the impeller pushing fluid against the outflow and getting stuck. Alright, coming up to 7. And 7.5. And we're going to pinch that one off, close that, and, oh, awesome. And I now have a leak on my mash tun.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, stop.
Yeah, it's gonna settle. All right, we'll fix it later.
We'll plug it with green.
Ain't gonna fix it right now. I know that much.
As long as it doesn't all come from another once.
Yeah. All right. I was a little worried about that, but well, nothing I can do about it right now. So let's rock and roll.
There we go.
I'm ready.
How's that smell?
Smelling really good so far.
Oh yeah, I can smell it.
Oh yeah. Let's see if we're doing all right. That's almost 3/4 of the grain now. So. Yeah, exactly. This is interesting, very thick mash at this point. There's a little bit of dough ball action there that we'll have to work out, but that's okay. May need to pump a little bit more water in here just to thin this out a bit, but I'm thinking we're in pretty good shape. Yeah, just give you the last of it. There we go. We got, like I said, we got a few little dough balls in here to break up, but they're not too bad. Not seeing lots of dough balls. There's the dough balls. And dough balls are when we get the chunks of dry grain that is clumped up, and we need to break those up and let water get into them. I'm going to grab the thermometer off of the hot liquor tank there, Lance, so let's see where we're at for temperature. It's feeling pretty good, but... $150. What's that?
152.
152 is what we're targeting.
How is it?
Yep.
It seems to be holding 152.
Then I'd say we are gold. Nailed it. When math works well. Yeah, when math works, it's a good thing. I think we're pretty good, man. We're a little doughy there, but you see. Yep, I just got a couple of little balls back there.
You'll scrape some off the wood, right? Yeah, right down. There you go.
All right, how are you doing? I still see a few little clumps. This is a fairly thick mash, so there are. When you get thicker mashes, you get more dough balls. I don't want to have those dry pockets of sugar that we could be turning into beer, if you know what I mean.
Recirculate
Good one right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you get the
Territory.
there we go. That should. They should be good. Don't see anything else. It's problematic. All right. Well, there we go. Let's get the lid on.
Start the timer.
We start an hour timer. Couldn't have done that one any better, I don't think, if we'd tried.
Nope.
All right, next up on the list of things to do is test the pH of this. So I want to catch the starting pH of this mash. My meter has been cleaned already, but I'm going to clean it again. I'm just going to pour some distilled water, just so that we have a place to rinse it off. Make sure that there's nothing in there. Just pop this lid over to the side a little bit. Let's see if I can two-hand this so you can see where we're at. Now this is a fairly, obviously this is at full temp, but we want to see where this mash is going to settle out at. So far it's a little bit on the high side, and this is supposed to be temperature correcting, but I don't think it, oh well, it's going to be tough when it's all fogged up. Basically we're coming up at 5.91. Alright, so I just stirred in a couple milliliters of lactic acid to see if we can bring it down a bit. Now we're down to about 5.5, 5.4. I can live with this. I go halfway when you can go all the way, right? Let's just added another 4 mil. Let's see where we come out to. So we're sort of bouncing between 5.4 and 5.5, so I'm comfortable with a 5.4. 5.42 is good. There we go. That's where we're going to mash. I think it's a good option compared to the average, and away we go. So we'll make note of that. 1.5 or 5.45 is where we ended up. So now we're going to let it run for about another 53 minutes. So just really briefly on this pH addition. For the most part, homebrewers tend not to think about it too much until you start getting into more specific styles. This meter was $13 on Amazon. Even if it's only accurate to 0.2 pH, it'll still give you an idea of what's going on. And most of them allow you to, with a little set screw, do adjustments and calibrate them. They're not perfect, but they're a lot better than nothing. Much the same way when it comes to tracking your gravity, having a proper refractometer makes a big difference. Certainly easier to get along with than a nice glass tube that can break on you. Alright, so we have hooked our hoses up, the sparge arm in the back here, hooked up to the outflow from our pump, inflow from the pump is coming from the mash. So what we're going to be able to do is now recirculate the wort just to clean it up and get it cleared in place of vorloffing. And then once that's done, our mash, or our sparge water up here will be in good place, and we'll be able to start sparging. So I'm going to open the output on that. I'm going to open the output on the mash and start draining the mash tun down into this. I've got a bit of a leak on my mash tun here I have to figure out later, but not a big critical problem for the moment. Pull that closed, fire up the pump, and then let's see if we can't start pushing. There we go. Nice and slow is what we're after. Just gonna recirculate. We're gonna watch some of that material start to flow through the hose, and there we go. And there's the sparge started.
Make it rain.
Making it rain. Belgian rain. Belgian rain.
Belgian golden shower.
Belgian rain. So we're going to give this, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 minutes of just circulating at that speed, and then we'll start filling the boil kettle.
It says rec and 312, 313.
Oh, then we're still recording. So the other advantage of doing a sparge like this is that we're going to be able to take our first runnings gravity on nice clear fluid that is already destined for the kettle, and that'll also help us understand where our top-up values go. I will also be testing pH again with this, but I'll probably do that in the kettle. We need to acidify our sparge water a little bit, and so I will be putting about, I think the number I need is about 7 milliliters of acid into the sparge water. Of course, I used the heaviest one I've got for this. There, those counts. And so we're going to acidify that sparge water a little bit too. That'll help keep things on track on the way to the boil kettle. And this is 88% lactic acid that we're using in here. 5 mil, 6 mil. There we go. And the acidification numbers are actually coming directly from Beersmith, so we have not sponsored by anyone. Yeah. Next steps. There we go.
The purpose of the wire for, or is that
It's holding the hop container.
Oh, okay.
So we've switched over the hoses. I've got the mash now going to drain directly into the kettle. We'll open that up. And now I just got to drop. Output there is good. This is good. I just got to hook the input of the pump now to the hot liquor tank, because that's going to be pushing our sparge water out of the hot liquor tank and up pumping it into the mash tun for our hot sparge. Just going to check our temperature, and as soon as we're there, we're going to start the mash out. 140. 160. There we go. We're just about one. Yeah, we're at 170.
Turn the gas up.
So we're gonna. Well, I'll let it run in for a minute. We can still go up a couple degrees. That's not going to hurt anything, and it is going to take a couple of minutes to get us there. So let's open the pump and open the hot liquor tank. There we go, so some of that water from the hot liquor tank can feed down. Let's get some hot liquor tank water in there. Okay, well, let's start draining our mash to the kettle. Nice and slow, and let's see if we can't get our pump to start.
What are we doing for rain?
There we go. We got making it rain, making it rain. Oh yeah, there we go. Start dissolving this candy sugar. Now at some point we are going to run out of gravity to help us on this setup, and we'll start running the wort out into a bucket, and then we'll just tip it out as it comes in. But this is probably the next 10 minutes of our life, maybe 20. Is just going to be to babysit the levels of sparge water and babysit the levels of water in the kettle. And the plan is to hit about 12 and a half gallons, 11 and a half gallons, and get us to our final volume. We're just topping up our mash here
11.
from the bucket because we couldn't, gravity's not quite right in my neighborhood. So we're just finishing it off with a bucket. Looks like between grain absorption and the fact we used a kegel, we're a little bit short by about a gallon. So we'll probably have to just add regular top up water for that, but it's a small price to pay, I think. Well, we're just getting the last little bit out of that mash. We were short in the end by about a half of a gallon, so I needed to add more to the HLT in between, and I just didn't add quite enough. So we're going to get our 4 drops or 5 drops of firm cap in there. You only need a few drops. Bring this up to a boil, and I'm going to get a little stir in, and we're going to check our gravity now that we've got basically our final volume in the kettle. So this will be our pre-boil volume. Then we're going to measure the sugars on. See what our pre-boil gravity is going to be.
Just use the spoon to grab a little bit. Finger will burn.
Finger will work. No, it's hot.
Just use the end of the spoon.
I could use the end of the spoon, or I'll just get it off the thermometer. How about that? We don't need very much for this process.
Take that for Christmas.
Well, if I had one, I'd use it. I mean, I'm totally all over pipettes, but I don't have one because I lost it. $105.7 pre-boil.
105.7.
1057.
And we want to be at 105.6 or 4 when we're
1057 is our pre-boil gravity, which means it only goes up from here. Now that's 1057 with the candy sugar added. And we were targeting, we'll pull up Beersmith here and we'll see what we were targeting. Pre-boil gravity was targeted at 1.058. But our actual pre-boil was 105.7. Give or take a little bit of variation in the refractometer, 0.1 or 0.001 is not bad at all. Measured mass efficiency, estimated pre-boil, blah blah blah. Measured pre-boil volume, we are at 47.45. Pre-boil gravity estimated 105.8. Measured 105.7. Yeah, this is going to give us a 7% beer, give or take. Efficiency came out about 74%. So not bad considering we've got to work on those volumes a little bit, but...
Well, what's it look like in the kettle?
What does it look like in the kettle? So far it looks like delicious. There we go. Got our hop strainer in there ready to go. We're at 12.5. Yeah. We're just waiting for temperature to come up and then we're into the boil.
So sweet.
Alright, so we did a half-gallon top-up thinking that we weren't going to actually hit that volume, and I'll be damned if we did when we put the last bit in. So we took it to 13 to get our gravity where we wanted. So we're at 058. We just have a slightly higher volume than we originally intended. We're just waiting for the boil to start. As soon as we see it start to roll, in go the hops for an hour boil. And we're going to put them in the hop basket here. And we'll see where it goes. Yeah, I'm hoping that that's the extent of the foaming up that we get. That'd be nice. The hop basket is nice and deep. And yeah, I think it'll be good. I'm not entirely sure if Lance is brewing or if he's traveling to somewhere in the tropics today.
Should we drop it in the word?
What?
camera. Watch it
Yeah,
boil.
watch the camera boil. No. All right. So things are boiling, or about to. Well, they're boiling. We're boiling now. You want to hit run, and we're gonna pour the hops into our hop hugger here. I didn't think this would be so complicated, but apparently it is. But there's our 30 grams of Hallertau Blanc. And we start our 60-minute boil. And that's it until 2 minutes. And at 2 minutes we're going to add our whirlflock and our finings, and then we hit the fermenter. This is an easy boil recipe. There's virtually nothing to do. Basically, other than wait for beer to happen. So, cheers. Speaking of, we got to get some, and we're gonna christen this in just a minute.
Pepperoni.
Huh? Indeed. Tell you what, grab that beer. Let's christen this thing, and then we're gonna eat some beef jerky that he made, which is the best kind. Cheers. Eggeshegadra. Slancha, and let's christen it. Whoop. Okay, I got a little extra, but that's okay. It's just going to make it better. Cheers, buddy.
You kicked out hungry.
Yeah, I know. Didn't look at you either. Oh, incidentally, my Stein. That is a the Dia de los Muertos glass that the Ranger brought back from Mexico. Alright, the findings are in. We're in the last minute and a half before we shut off the heat and start chilling this. Gallons. So if you were doing a second boil, you're already halfway to temperature and you haven't even started. Double batch brew days are a good thing. Alright, so we're down to 160 degrees. We pulled the hops out. They don't need to be in the basket anymore. The chiller is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. The temperature's coming down nice. Whirlpool's spinning everything else. We just checked gravity. Our final volume is 11.75 gallons. So just a quarter of a gallon higher than we were looking for in the beginning. So we dropped from 13 to 11.75. So a gallon and a half just about boiled off. Final gravity in the kettle right now, 1.060, which is I think right where we wanted it to be. So I'd say so far, we haven't fermented yet, but we appear to be right on the money. Now to make notes. Cheersy, cheersy. All right, we're down to like 25 degrees now Celsius. So we are going to pull the chiller out, shut that off. We're not getting any further with the ambient temperature. No sense wasting more water than we have to. Shut that down, we'll pull the chill out, and then we're just going to let the whirlpool, same thing, let the whirlpool run for another, probably another 5 minutes, just to, there's 150 degree water,
Looks like
5 gallons of 150 degree water for another 4 or 5 minutes, coming out of the chiller, just to make sure that we've got, for 5 grams, you know, a good, wow, the protein's even coagulating on the chiller, man. That's gross and really cool. Just to make sure that we've got what little trub is going to be in here spun up in the bottom. It feels actually like this is not pushing anything at all at the moment. No, just the film of scum is well anchored to the top.
counter. It's like a eddy pool going the other way.
Yeah, so we're gonna I'm gonna shut it. I'm gonna slow it down for sure. The beer underneath is definitely circulating, but we're gonna slow it right down. I'd love for this to hang a little more accurately vertical or horizontal, but you know, it'll be what it'll be. There we go. That'll get her in the right direction. Perfect. We'll give her 2 or 3 minutes, and then yeah, we'll get fermenters ready and get the beer off. All right, let's put some beer in a fermenter.
Okay, so you want to...
First things first, I want to take said aeration hose and put said aeration hose, beer no foam, right there. And yeah, we'll pull the arm in there. Boom, boom. Lid half on.
Lock and load.
No, I meant that lid, not the dirty one.
You got it.
All right, let's fillet la fermenter with avec la bière. La bière.
We should do a George Thorock here. It'd be like, we need to do a unibrow. That's it.
The unibrow.
Well,
Be
no.
very careful calling a George Laroque beer the unibrow.
Curious George.
He might come after you.
We need to call that a Curious George.
The Curious George. All right, so we're aerating the bucket as we're putting this in. So we're getting some oxygen in there, and we're filling the fermenter at the same time, which is, hey, 2 for 1. Let's give her. I like this idea of actually hammering it with O2 on the way into the bucket. I think that's a great way to do it. We should be able to get 20 liters out of both.
It looks darker now.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Now that it's post-boil and...
Beersmith might have been right.
Yeah, it might have been. Like in the hoses, it doesn't look very dark,
well,
but
it's the whites.
yeah. But yeah, it might be a little darker than we sort of anticipated, which is great. Ultimately, it's the flavor that we're after, though. So yeah, and so if that works out, then we're in great shape.
It's gonna be half foam, half beer by the time we're done. You might want to.
I don't know if that's a problem.
And we have our yeasts ready to go.
Yeasts are smacked. It's going to take a little bit more time to get them down to fermentation temperature.
Greg's going with the Belgian Ardennes. 3522.
Lance is going to take the cranky yeast.
And I'm going to get the Angry Belgian Strong 1388. We'll see how they compare in the end.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what
yeast
flavors they do and what yeast esters and phenolics come into the beer.
Tap out there. Yeah, that foam is not going to go in. Yeah. Oh, you got to cut the siphon.
I did.
Oh, you did. Okay.
You betcha. Now they're just everybody's looking at my butt.
Well, you at least tore your. You changed your torn pants.
Yeah, I got out of the torn pants. So yeah, we'll give that a run anyway. Let's start running that one. There we go, and it's looking clear. I mean, I think between the whirlpooling and the finings process, I think the end result is that we're getting really great clean beer out of this. Yeah, like I could see the copper fitting through the side of the bucket, and it's shiny. So
It's been 2 years since we wanted.
it's good and clear.
Something this strong.
Yeah, or to put together a proper Belgian. So, you know, we'll see what the end result is. Your fermentation strip
What's the temp?
says 25.
Yep. So by the time I
So
get
you're
home,
right at the high end of the ale
by the
yeast
time I
side.
get home in an hour.
Yeah, by the time you're home, you'll be ready to rock.
In the basement for an hour.
Yep. Yeah, and this is.
And Belgian yeast will do good on the high end anyways.
That's right. So in this case, we're using yeasts that love to ferment big alcohol, produce lots of esters. So the flavor profile that we're looking for is, you know, dark dried fruit, skinned fruit, things like dried apricots or dried plums, raisin, and then a lot of malt. The hop profile is really light. We had 30 grams of hop in this beer, so it's there to preserve it and not much else. We used Hallertau Blanc for that. Again, 3 grains, all from Red Shed. Cheers, Red Shed. With their base malt, their Rocky Mountain malt and amber. And then the only adjunct is the candy sugar for a little caramel and a little bit of their the extra alcohol that we're going to get from that. So yeah, we'll get you a view of this while it's fermenting. But basically, the smack packs that we're using are kind of like, you know, smack them, let them sit, and throw them in. So not a whole lot of interesting things to see there, but. Yeah, I think we're going to have a couple of great beers. Cheers, thanks for watching.
Don't fuck squirrels. That's the outtake.